So I do this every Thursday morning, as part of my marketing. So anyway, Dave, Mark Stevens here is a marketing, the word I'm looking for. He's the magnet, the magnate in marketing. He's the one that wrote the book on how your marketing sucks. It's actually that's how he got my attention. I heard an advertising on the radio one day where I'm like, how do I get better at this? How do I get better at this? And then Mark Steven comes on the radio and says, you know what, your marketing sucks. I'm like, the fuck that voice come from? Was that in my head or was that on? And he had a whole promotion of your marketing sucks. I'm like, yes, I'm good at what I do, but I suck at marketing. And so I reached out to Mark and you know, timing was poor because he was just selling his company at that point. So I didn't get the best of him. Uh, he's still reserving that for me. So since then, sold his company, right,
Yeah,
and now doing some coaching and consulting.
yeah.
So yeah, so you're in you're in the midst of a lot of success here, Dave. D
Thank you.
um,
It's funny because
Dave,
people
yeah,
still. I probably started that the first ad spot. Does your marketing suck? Which I screamed into the phone, into the radio. Probably was, let's see, I sold the business 2017. It was probably 2005, something like that. And the first time I did it, I got probably within an hour 100 phone calls telling me I was an asshole for using that word,
yeah.
and a radio station saying we're not running any more of your spots. That's it. You're done.
Well, well, I said the same thing as this guy's an asshole. How do I get in touch with him? He's my
Right.
guy. This is my tribe right there.
Right.
So they were right. So they were intuitive, those
Yeah.
people, I guess,
They
right?
were. They had a good asshole detector. No, but it's interesting because it went on for. I mean, I did it for about 12 years, and I started with I think it was $50,000 on the radio, and then I went up to 2 million a year in spend. And like everybody still remembers it. I get emails and calls from people who tell me, or if I'm introduced to somebody, say, "Are you that Mark Stevens who did the sucks thing?" So it's sort of like it's something people who never even spoke to me just always remember that radio campaign, and there's a lesson there because most advertising sucks. You don't remember it.
Yeah.
It's just
Well, that's it. You're gonna make it memorable. That's right. That's exactly
right.
right.
It's a bland statement. It says, "Hi, this is Mark. Do you need better marketing?
Yeah.
If you do, call me. Goodbye. I'm not even gonna bother combing my hair."
Yeah. Wha- one of my pet peeves always was, and you see it everywhere. I'll give you the very simplistic example. You're driving on the highway and you see the plumbers advertising for all your plumbing needs. And that always bothered me because I'm not the expert plumber. You're the expert plumber. You should be telling me what it is that I need. If I have to define my needs and therefore measure how much business I give you, you're never going to get any business because I have no freaking idea what my plumbing needs are
It's a
for
great.
all your whatever needs. We're here for
That's a great
all your
point.
needs.
That's a great point.
You know, there's a difference between what people want and what they need. I need you as the expert. Tell me what I need. I can tell you what I want. I want to save money and I don't want to do anything and I don't want to do business with you. That's what I
Right.
want. So that's what I'll
Right.
do. But if you're leaving the answer of the needs up to me, I'm not going to answer that question. I'll just stay with my wants and keep my money in my pocket.
That's a great point, Rob. Is also, I believe that the best thing you can do in business is not to give people what they want, but to give them what they didn't think they could get.
I agree. But you got to
That's
meet them to connect with them at their wants and then move them to,
you don't really have to because, like Steve Jobs said, it's a good example to drive off of. Everybody's not Steve Jobs, obviously, but Steve Jobs said, "I'm going to put 1,000 songs in your pocket. You don't need to meet him."
yeah,
What do you mean? How are you going to do that? Let me get in touch with this guy. So that it's something you didn't think you could have, and if you could do that, If you could do that, Rob, if you could do that, like I've been reading about, this. Just read a story the other day. I'm sitting on one of my patios. I come down every morning here and read before I swim or anything, and just read. Actually, I read the Financial Times now, not because I'm some kind of you know elitist Brit. I'm not, but they have big, long form stories, and I like reading about things I don't know. I don't read the news. I'm looking at
Yeah.
little features and stuff about gardening or finance. And you know that company, Home Tap,
No. Home light?
Home Tap.
No, I don't know that.
So let's say somebody's. I just read about the concept. It's great. It's relatively new, but let's say somebody wants. Let's say somebody's got a $2 million house and they want to access a $500,000 of equity without another loan, without another mortgage. These guys come in, praise the house, make sure it's worth 2 million. They'll give you up to $600,000, and they just become partners with you. If when the house is sold, anything you get above the value it is when they give you the 600 grand. It's a 10-year term. So unlike it's just like much more simple, much simpler and more convenient than a home equity loan. They just give you a piece of your house. You don't have to give it back until you sell the house, and they just share in the profits of the house.
So that's
Anyway,
illegal in some states. Did you know that?
no, everything's illegal in some states.
Yes, because that's considered that has been and that's been something that's been around for a long time. That's not a new concept. That there was a lot of laws about that, especially in the democratic states and the consumer protection states where it's considered to be predatory and a predatory practice where it's equity stripping.
Yeah,
It's equity stripping because that's what they're doing. They're taking a piece of the equity and sharing in the appreciation to shared
right,
appreciation play.
right.
That's been around forever. And when there have been certain jurisdictions that look at, well, if you can just lend at 7%, when they can go to a bank, it comes down to the net tangible benefit rule. Is it a net tangible benefit for the investor to go into equity sharing or for the homeowner, where the homeowner can just go get a second mortgage at 7, 8% and give up less of their net worth in the transaction? So there's rules of how that's looked at, and there's a lot of states that view that and not in a favorable light. And I kind of agree with that. And, people have better options, and that's just predatory practicing, somebody trying to be creative. But that's been around forever. That's been
Okay, so,
around
I mean, the
forever.
reason I brought it up is because I obviously don't want to avail myself of that. I'm never going to sell this home, but um, it's the reason I brought it up is because it sounds like it's that people think I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah,
It's that thing of tell people what that you do something they didn't know they could do, or give them something they didn't know they could have. That's the most valuable marketing. Like if that plumber you said
yeah.
you talked about said, if his ad said, "I can make all your hot water come up in 3 minutes, 3 seconds. You want a hot shower? Second you turn it on." I know there's systems that do that, but I'm just picking something.
I'll even go further with that. You can even market that as I'll give you one of the most valuable things. I'll give you more time in the morning to spend with your kids. How do you do that? I'll make your shower go quicker because the water will get hotter faster and you'll get in and out of your shower a lot faster, giving you more time to spend with your kids in the morning. That's always evading you.
There you go. There you go. There you go. No, that Bruce proves your point about
Yeah.
I'll take
Yeah.
care of all your plumbing needs. I don't have any needs right now.
Right. You don't have plumbing needs, but you want to spend more time with your kids? I'll get you more time
Right.
with your kids.
Yeah. Great.
Right. You touch them where they want. And if you could put that together, I agree with you. That's where the genius comes in. And I agree with you. Most people are out there, just as you said, hi, my name is Robin Napolitano. Here's what
Right.
I do. I get it all the time. Like I get hit up on LinkedIn all the time. Hey, I wanted to show you what it is that I'm doing. And in my mind, I go, did I ask? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, great. Or hey, this is what we're doing, and I want us from it. Great, that sounds great. Enjoy your day. I mean, that's you can't get back those seconds
Right.
of life. They're
Right.
gone, and
Right.
and I spend a lot of time trying to protect myself, which is one of the reasons why I do this, trying to shuffle and triage my time and meeting with people even like this, have these conversations. I say, even David, we'll invite as many people as we want to come on these calls because on Thursday morning, there's no agenda, no topic. People just want to just catch up, shoot the breeze, this and that, grab a cup of coffee. And I mean, and it's sometimes been Dave and I, and we've gone on for, I don't know, an hour, two, 2.5. It's the two of us because he's
Right.
a dad raising kids down in Austin as well. We're different. We're different ages, but we're from different generations. We have different perspectives, different ways of doing things. But it's a lot of commonality between Dave and I. Just in raising kids and how we raise kids in the world that we're raising them, and culture, values, and all stuff. Because all that applies to everybody, not just business. Business is just one facet of our lives. But
Absolutely. Once you're raising kids or have raised kids, you have a commonality that supersedes almost everything else. You have a common language.
yeah.
So
My
what
my
are you doing now? You said you're doing something new.
No, I'm doing the same thing. I'm still doing, my loans and life settlements. I've packaged it into one platform. We're actually in the process of relaunching, website relaunching, and going out and doing our more capital raising again. We wound down our funds. We're going to go for fund two on the real estate side and kind of package it all together. Still the same stuff when you and I were talking. Um, when were you and I engaged? Before the pandemic?
Yeah.
So you sold in 17, so it had to be 17, 18. I was with you right as you sold to, I forget his name,
Uh,
Jonathan.
yeah. Well, the
So,
family sold to a
yeah.
family.
So
Um,
so that was 17 that had to be.
I guess. Oh boy, I didn't know it was that long.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's a
been that
long time.
long.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it
So
took
you
me,
so you're rebranding as a what? What when when I tell somebody about you, how do I say it in a sentence?
well, it's not that we're rebranding. We're still Grit. I remember that you helped me come up with that name, but Global Realty Investor Trust is now turned into grit as a verb or an adjective, right? So because it's what it takes is grit to turn this economy around, and so we're kind of rebranding with that narrative that and we're still shaping and polishing the story, but the story and the narrative is where we are today geopolitically on the macro level, the micro level, leadership has abandoned us. And, it's time now, especially as parents, to capture tomorrow today because the opportunity to save the future for our kids is quickly diminishing in the window. And so, what we do, the way we like to go about and do it, is go right after the core of society, and that's money and their personal balance sheets and their biggest expense, which is mortgage and life insurance. And we go in and we attack that business by picking up the policies that are abandoned, by the mortgages that are impaired. And last time this came around in 2008, we left it to the banks, the institutions, and the Fed to fix the problem, and all they did is print more money, socialize the losses, create inflation, and it cost us all more. Now we're going to run into the same issue again, and it's time for the private investors to get involved to fix this problem. We need to do this ourselves and get the government out of the way, and that's where we set up our two funds as a way for people to participate with us, park their money next to ours, as we can go pick up these assets and really turn them around, as opposed to what happens on Wall Street, where they just trade and bet on who's going to get fucked over this next crisis. Let's talk
Hmm?
about the real business, the underlying assets, and really fix the source of the problem. And that's what we're doing. And so people that want to actually get away from the casino and the betting on who's getting fucked and do some real work and roll up their sleeves and get gritty about picking up these assets and turning them around, that's the opportunity that we provide in doing all this.
I don't know if I ever told you about this, but I know a good amount of people that I've known over the years. Some 3 years, some 30 years, that always did well, um, and always made a nice living. What I mean by nice living is over half a million a year, uh, and sometimes many multiples of that,
Mhm.
and have nothing. So
Very common.
somebody like that who has when I say nothing, they're not destitute, but they should have 5 million, for example,
Yeah,
and they have a couple of hundred grand in the bank.
yeah.
Um, and in some cases, it's because they spent like crazy and showing off and doing that kind of thing. But is that big swath of people who are find themselves at any age uh, asset poor? I'm including cash as an asset.
Hmm.
You work with them?
Possibly, possibly. I mean, we go. It depends on. So I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. I'm thinking of a triangle where we have three. We face three different perfect clients in a triangle that are kind of all interconnected. The first that we face are the banks, where we go to the banks and buy these, and the life insurance companies where we buy these assets on a secondary market. The second people we face are the other side of those contracts, the homeowners, the insurance owners that are having financial hardships. And the third people we face are the investors who want a place to capture alpha, that want to come in and bridge the gap between the two and put their money to work to be that bridge. Those are the three. So, where those people that you're talking about in your mind fit in one of those three, it depends on where they fit. Um, but it's very common where you'll have people exactly as you said that make good incomes, but maybe have not siphoned off enough to build a nest egg to fall back on.
Right.
Um, and even so, I'll give you another one too. Okay, I just put up a chart a week or two ago where I looked at who carries more debt by generation, and the baby boomers have very little debt. They carry all the assets, all the cash, and there's going to be trillions of dollars of wealth being transferred from baby boomers to Gen X millennials, uh, which carry the majority of the debt in this country. And then what does that mean? Here they are, those banks again, waiting in the shadows for that generation to get all the money from the baby boomers. And then they're going to say, okay, you got your money? Now pay me. Now you got to pay off all this debt. And the banks are waiting there, licking their chops. Okay, when are you guys going to get this money? When are you guys going to get this money? And that's part of the problem we're addressing. That if we can buy this debt at a big discount, we can minimize that effect of
Yeah.
net
Yeah.
loss of wealth, right? And so banks are waiting. The baby boomers have all the money, trillions, and I think it's like 40 something $1 trillion that waiting to be transferred to the next generation. And the ages between 35 and 55 carry a majority of the debt. So what's going to happen? Ultimately, the next generation are going to be the agents, the collection agents of the banks. Go get the wealth from mommy and daddy and grandma and grandpa and go pass it right along to the banks paying their bills and paying off their debts. And the banks end up with all the money again. And
Yeah.
that's what's happening.
No,
That's why I
so
said we
that's
have
a,
an.
that's a that's it seems to me that's I'm sure you are already there, but that's your plumber's ad.
Yep.
That plumber's ad. You baby boomers have collected like when I sold my business, which is not the first business I had, but when I sold MSCO, the amount of money that I got for selling that business, I've never spent a penny. I've never taken a dollar. That's a baby boomer, especially with a
Yes.
lower lower middle class background.
Yes. You
Uh,
save it, you put it away, you
never spent
protect it.
right, and at some point, sooner rather than later, I'm going to die, and that money's going to go to my kids. Fortunately, my kids are quite successful. I may be a little bit of a outlier, but it's an interesting thing because it's the plumber. You have all this money. You're saying you don't think about it because I don't think about it, but you don't think about what's happening. You have a will, but that's bullshit. It doesn't deal with the harder issue of the transfer of wealth
Yeah.
in a tax efficient way.
Lower your
Uh,
camera a little bit. I only see the top of your head.
oh,
There you
wait,
go.
it doesn't. Well, man, I look like a clown.
That's okay.
Wow, wow,
You
beautiful.
look good. Go
It's
ahead.
my,
But this is exactly the dynamic we're talking about, right? Is you
yeah,
worry
that's what I'm
about
saying.
this stuff.
That's what I'm saying. No, it's I now remember more of what you were doing when we were working closely together, and I think that this message on your part to baby boomers like myself who've made money and have money, we don't think about it because nobody wants to think about it. I just know that
Because
I have.
yeah, but you don't want to think about it, right? Because what are we how are we trained in thinking, well, we're just going to pass it along to them, and then it's their problem. I don't have to worry about it anymore. I don't have to worry about money anymore because I did what I had to do. I took care of my responsibility in life, took care of my family, I took care of my employees, took care of my business. I did well. Here's my nest egg. And at the end of the day, when I'm gone, I can't take it with me. Good luck, guys. I gave you guys, values. I gave you guidance. I put you guys in a good position to succeed. You're doing it well yourself. Here's the money along with it. At this point, right? That's what we're taught about because there's nothing we can do once we're gone.
And I know that you have. So this house that I'm sitting in right now is in my will to one of my sons. And why? Because I actually have this dream that not only did he have the house, even though he has a beautiful house in New Canaan, um, that Stevenses always live here forever. Now, it's not going to happen, but it's a dream. And that, I have four
Your
grandchildren.
leg, your legacy lives on.
Yeah, I just like the idea that it's
Yep.
not, and it probably won't happen. But if somebody who, in not in my position, gets ready to retire, for example, should they view the house as part? If they should they view a valuable house as part of their wealth?
I mean, it's all part of your wealth, right? And that, again, that's always subjective too. It's not just so much the house, but how much debt are you carrying on the house? See, a lot of people look at this stuff as the asset and the equity. And a lot of people forget the liability side of it. Yeah, the house is great, but if you're over leveraged on the house, and that's part of the problem we have today, is the over leveraging. And what we
Right.
do is deleverage. We need to get the debt burden on people's personal balance sheets down. And the biggest piece is the mortgage, which is why we go after the mortgage and the insurance to try to deleverage that. But it's not so much think about that. Just think about that for a second, right? As you're talking about these particular people, they've worked, they've got good incomes, they haven't put much away, um, and they have the house, and they want to give it to their kids, and they want their grandkids to live there. And then what do they think about? How the hell am I going to pay this mortgage off, though? What stops them the most is debt, debt, debt. Debt always gets in the way. It's the debt, it's the debt, it's the debt. Because at the end of the day, when they pass, depending on how they have their estates set up, if there's other bills to pay, other debts to pay, 9 times out of 10, they're going to sell the house, get the cash, pay off the debts, and be done with the burden. Be done with the burden, right? And then the house does not fulfill that dream of relevance and legacy to the next generations. I provided a place for you to always have a roof over your head, to have make great memories, to gather and show each other love and all those great things that come with a family. No, there a lot of people it becomes how can I get rid of this burden? And the house is not the burden, it's
Yeah,
the debt.
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
burden, right? The other side of the equation that nobody looks at because nobody wants to think about it
Right.
because we're all programmed that we have to have debt, got to pay it back, and it's that hamster wheel. I can't get off that hamster. It's got to keep going, keep going, keep going. No matter how much I make, there's more that I got to pay in taxes, in debt, inflation now, right, and all. It just
There's a
keeps
lot of
eating and
people,
keeping
Rob.
eating.
There's a lot of people, Rob, like me who have no debt
Right,
and zero debt, and I think you could be helpful to them because the house is a form of currency because I have no debt. I can make it
right,
into currency in an hour.
yeah,
Uh, I get called all the time by people who want to buy the house.
yeah,
So I know roughly this house is $5 million
yeah,
currency if I want it to be. So make it 4.7, make it 5.2.
Yep.
I
Just look at
choose
it.
to
That's
not
it.
have I choose to not have it be currency now because I want to give it to a son who doesn't need another house. But
Yep.
we're not all rational. But to me, it'd be interesting to talk to people like me who don't have debt to talk to you about.
Yep.
Okay, take these non-financial assets. What the fuck should I do with them?
Yep.
Is this the right thing? I concocted this plan out of, and I know um, personal finance, but I don't know real estate finance like you do at all, not even close. And so, or other types of financial parachutes that you have that can help maximize to the person who has no problems, financial
Yep.
problems.
Yep.
It's just you can
Well,
do some things
the
intelligently or
challenge.
not.
Yeah. The challenge with that, right? You may not have debt, but you still have an erosion effect going on of net wealth because of where the money may be invested, or if it's sitting in cash, eroding away because of inflation.
Yeah,
And if it's not out there working efficiently, growing to outpace
yeah,
the rate of erosion, then you have a problem. It's a different problem than the
right,
debt that
right.
erodes. There's still an erosion problem going on.
See, I think you're talking to people like me
Yeah,
uh, that talking about not I can take hi I can take care of all your financial needs, but no, baby boomers, you got a lot of money. I know it,
yeah,
but I know you do not have it in the right place. There's
yes,
nobody you can see, no one that has the puzzle put together properly. Like I know anybody I see, their marketing is not correct,
yeah,
nor is their management. I spend more of my time now on management, helping uh, business owners figure out why they're not happy, why things aren't working right, why they're not growing. I spend more time at that than I do on marketing. I do have a marketing firm that I work with that's very good that I give the work to, but I supervise it. But it's really so much more, Rob, about you know the issues of growing a business require it's the hardest job in the world.
yep,
It's the hardest job in the world, and growing a small business is 2,000 times harder than growing Ford Motor.
yep,
Any monkey can run Ford Motor Company. Running your own business and making it work, and then ultimately selling it, that's the hardest job there is.
yep,
And, I mean, I love it, and I love talking about it, and I love advising on it. But anyway, a lot of my guys who I advise don't have enough of what they should have. A lot of
agreed.
them are not baby boomers yet. They still can be saved. Some of them
Yep,
have a lot of money. I'm amazed at how many of them don't have money.